John Busbee with the Culture Buzz, and this is going to be a fascinating interview. This book, Tyler Martin's book, really falls in that category that I call life resources. And that's a term I don't use lightly, and it is something I encourage you to build your own life resource library, and Tyler Martin's book needs to be in there. Why? Well, because it is an incredible book. It's called The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise. And, there are so many times when people hear those words and they have a subconscious aversion to that. And Tyler has a way of really kind of welcoming you into this whole world of being better for yourself. That's why this is a life resource book. Tyler, welcome to the Culture Buzz. And the friction factor, I have to start there because the friction factor, if I just read that by itself, I'd think, what is this? Am I talking physics here? Am I talking the way I sometimes rub my wife the wrong way? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, first, thanks for having me. And so that's a perfect place to jump in. So friction is a term that I have coined in this context. What I'm referring to in the book is the inefficient use of time and energy in diet and exercise processes. So I'm talking about anything that makes exercising or following a healthy nutrition plan take more time or require more energy than it really needs to in order to be effective. So think about things like packing up your bag and commuting to a gym in order to work out, or waiting for the chicken to defrost or the oven to preheat. These are all part of the process, but they don't add any actual value to accomplishing the goal of the task. And so if you can find ways to eliminate friction from these processes, they're going to be much more repeatable. And if you can repeat a fitness behavior consistently enough, you reach the stage where you start to form habits. And habits are ultimately what you need if you're serious about making lifestyle change.
Amen. One of the next words that pops out to me at your descriptive title, The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise, is that word sustainable. And you just kind of hit on that because that's really what it's about. There are people, and I know it happens, it seems like every year, at the first of the year, people just say, okay, by golly, I'm going to just rip into this. I'm just going to go like a bat out of you-know-what, and I'm just going to keep going. And then by day 2 or 3, they're saying, I am absolutely exhausted. So to talk about, that kind of, all or nothing, how you can help those people kind of say, okay, no, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So my advice to people that are, maybe not as consistent as they'd like to be, or even if they live a sedentary lifestyle and they want to get started eating healthy or exercising regularly, is to take the context of your busy life seriously. Because like you just described, what normally happens is every January, millions of people make some commitment that I'm going to go to the gym after work every day and exercise for 2 hours. And the data actually shows that within 6 weeks, at least by March, 80% of those people have stopped going to the gym consistently. And it tends to be because they've overcommitted. They signed up for something that's not repeatable for them. And so you're going to be much better off starting off with a small commitment that is actually repeatable for you. So even if you can only do 5 minutes of exercise every day at home, you can build a habit around that. And once you've automated that process and it's part of your day-to-day routine, then you can revisit. Once things have started to feel easier and more automatic, it's going to be much easier to come back and revisit that commitment level and build on it over the course of time and actually sustain it.
Exactly. Tyler Martin is my guest. He is an expert. He is an encourager. He is an enabler of the good kind. And this is why I consider The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise, a must-have in your life resource library. We just launched into this, which is something I sometimes do, without even giving you an access point to learn more about Tyler, where to order the book, and things like that. He has a fantastic website because it's got all sorts of information in this website. Go to frictionfactorfitness.com busbee.com. And I'll mention that another time or two in the course of the conversation. You can also go to your local independent bookseller and say, I've heard about the new book, I've got to get The Friction Factor by Tyler Martin, and they will make sure they get a copy in your hands post haste, because that's what it's about. Talk about some of the people you work with that they know they need to do this from an approach maybe of, the what's in it for me, because I think maybe mentally they know what's in it for me, but there's kind of a resistance in the spirit and the soul that says, yeah, but God, that's just, it's going to make me want it. And when the logic states in my mind that, okay, I make sure my car is tuned up, I change the oil, all those things like that to make sure my car runs. What is one of the most important things you need to do for yourself? Consider your body and what that means. Sustainability of your body. I tossed a bunch of things on the table, a bunch of puzzle pieces, Tyler. Go ahead and start putting some of those pieces together for us.
Yeah, so no, those are great things to bring up. And I think the common approach to the problem that you're talking about, this aversion that we feel, part of it is because most of us have tried so many times to be consistent with fitness behaviors and we failed. And so it's kind of like, I don't want to look over there because it's scary and I've had a rough go in the past. And what I try to do is flip this whole thing on its head, because I think that generally what we're trying to do when we adopt new behaviors related to exercise or nutrition is we're trying to get ourselves super motivated. It's like, if I could just drum up enough energy to get excited about doing these things every single day, then, that would take me to the promised land. And I say the opposite. I say, actually, you want to get these behaviors on autopilot. You want to build habits. You want to get into a place where you're not even thinking about these things. It's like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. So my approach is to teach people how to exercise and follow a diet plan in a different kind of way that's conducive to building habits, so that it takes very little of their mental bandwidth to actually go through the motions on a day-to-day basis. Because in the long run, consistency over time is what's going to give you those benefits, the benefits that everybody really wants out of improved fitness.
Tyler Martin is my guest. He is the author of a fantastic book. It's a great life resource book. And trust me when I say this, I am not young anymore. I am well past my prime physical shape. But at the same time, what I've been discovering, and I keep kind of flipping back from pages here and then and things like that as I've been reading The Friction Factor, is that there's something for everyone in this book. This is the thing that I love about these discoveries. Tyler Martin's book is such a discovery. The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise. Now, Tyler is a certified personal trainer. Let's flip your history back a ways, and when did you have that personal aha moment that not only did you want to become a certified personal trainer, but that if you started now on this kind of this wellness concept, this path, that it would be something that obviously, if you were in top form, you could also become an advocate for others in that same vein?
Yeah, so my whole journey with this, with fitness and looking for a better way, started off right when I graduated from college. All of a sudden, I was working a full-time job in sales and marketing. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week, and I was trying to run a side business, and I had a lot going on. And as an ex-athlete, I'm an ex-high school and collegiate level wrestler, I thought that I had the toolkit. I knew everything I needed to know about exercising and dieting and staying in shape. And it was going to be no problem to stay fit for the rest of my life because I had this background. And this turned out to be completely wrong. Within the context of this new busy world that I was living in, I'm not an athlete anymore. What I came to realize was the conventional approach to exercise and dieting that I learned as an athlete was very inefficient and incompatible with this now very busy lifestyle that I was living. And as I started to look out for a roadmap to follow, I thought someone surely has addressed this issue. of being busy and how do you make fitness fit into your daily life. And there really wasn't a good comprehensive solution out there. So I dedicated myself at that point to figuring this out, first for me, and then for the millions of other busy people that are out there with the same issue.
And we are the beneficiaries of that revelation, folks. Tyler Martin is my guest. He is a certified personal trainer. He's got a great website. I encourage you to visit the website because I always want you to learn more about the writer, the creative force behind a book, a life resource book such as his. Go to frictionfactorfitness.com and you will discover much more. You can always, of course, go to your local independent bookseller and just say, I just heard about Tyler Martin's new book, The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise. And you will be rewarded with some inspiration. It's going to be gentle inspiration. It's going to be the kind of wonderful come hither of that first warm, beautiful day in spring that says, you can do it. Come here and learn. And this will be a first step for you to kind of find a better path for yourself. I encourage everyone to do that because, again, you need to take care of the temple. Your body is that temple. And even if there are some, messed up parts, don't worry about it because Tyler Martin's got some great information in the Friction Factor that you can use. And that's what's so important. Talk a little bit about that because a lot of times there are a lot of people, and I count myself in this category, that well into their life they say, holy buckets, I've got to do something about this. And this is why I think that you describe part of it, why your book is so important for them.
Yeah, so I think especially for somebody that's in that exact scenario and they're trying to get started, we have a tendency to get too focused in the beginning on physical results, on, okay, I'm trying this workout plan, or I'm following this diet, am I losing weight, is my body fat percentage headed in the right direction? And I think it's so much more important in the beginning to pay attention to what are called procedural goals. And what that means is holding yourself accountable to day-to-day activities that are going to move you in the right direction. So it's more important, I think, in the beginning to keep a checklist of, did I stick to my exercise commitment today? Even if it's just 5 minutes. Did I stick to my nutrition plan today? And if you can keep that up, the research says for about a 66-day period of being consistent, that's where you reach the point where a new habit is formed in your brain. And at that point, you have installed this new behavior in your lifestyle. And that's when you can really shift gears and start to pay attention to the physical results. And they're going to come consistently over the course of time. And most importantly, they're going to be sustainable because you haven't burned out and you haven't committed something that you're not going to be able to keep up for years and years and even decades and decades, which is the ultimate goal.
Amen to that. Tyler Martin, he is the author of The Friction Factor, The Busy Person's Guide to Sustainable Diet and Exercise. Check it all out at frictionfactorfitness.com because what he has given you is a wonderful glimpse at something that is conceivable, which means it's achievable. So go out and do that. Add this life resource to your library, folks. Tyler, thank you for your time. Most importantly, thank you for multiplying your wisdom through your book, The Friction Factor.
Thanks so much for having me.